Welcome to Personality Psychology's video lecture on culture, religion, and ethnicity. We are social beings and never alone. We all come from somewhere, some family, some community, and some part of society. It's very important that we understand cultural influences and the differences involved in these shared behaviors, customs, because they really make up a big part of who we are. Most of the personality theorists were born in Europe, and the culture at that time is much different than it is today. Gordon Allport is one of the few who lived in the United States, particularly Boston, so he may have a more realistic view of the personality than some of the other theorists. We're all shaped by our culture. Some cultures are individualistic, like in the U.S., where others are more collectivist, like in Eastern cultures. The most significant cultural grouping in the U.S. has to do with the black-white differences of race. I think that it's important not only to study the notion of race, but also to explore the ethnicities that we identify with, our history, and whether or not we are a minority, our family, and the subcultures within our culture, as well as our religion and social class and economic status. Language is another part of our culture that can define our identity. We all have different experiences with language, and we have the tendency to psychologically attach to our native language. How we learn our language and how we display it shows how we think about it and understand it, as well as perceive our world. Sometimes people don't consider gender to be a cultural component, but it is. Based on what gender you are, someone has viewed you in a way that you weren't sure about, didn't like, you felt discriminated against, or you wanted to run away screaming. One of the problems that personality psychologists and researchers have found is that not every culture is the same, and because of that, it's difficult to measure psychological traits correctly. Older, white, middle-class men created most of these tests. Their view on culture would be different than yours and mine, and so how can we be expected to perform as well as they did on psychological tests that they created? But overall, this is a topic that will only get more or less complicated as the years go by. Our languages are merging, our races are merging, and new cultures are popping up. People are changing their gender too, so I look forward to seeing how personality psychologists describe our current culture in the future.